Chapter 18, Testing the Bullet. Chapter 18, Testing the Bullets. My mom wanted to cook for Brian Stevenson. It's the way she showed love, and after I told her about him, all she wanted to do was show her love. He's going to be coming to talk to you, I told her. Well, what does he like to eat? I asked. I want to make him something special. You find out what his favorite meal is, and I'll fix it right up. I like to give him some money also. No, Mama, you can't give him money. He won't take it. Please don't try to give him money. Well, what does he say? Are you gonna come home, baby? I'm ready for you to come home now. My breath always hitched when she said that. She hadn't been out to see me in a long time. The drive was just too difficult for her. I knew she was sick in the way you know things about the people you love. But neither she nor Lester wanted to tell me anything. They didn't want me to worry, and it just seemed easier to pretend things were different from how they were. It couldn't be I couldn't be home to take care of her, and the pain of the fact that was too much to face. I was a prisoner. I shouldn't have been so hard for an innocent man to get out of jail, out of prison. But it was. There's a point in a Jesus. There was a point in a struggle where you have to surrender. You have to stop trying to swim upstream, stop fighting the current. I hadn't given up the idea of walking out of the prison, but I couldn't fight it every single day and survive. You try your best to get home, and then at some point you decide to make a home where you are. I had to make a home of home and to survive. I had to black out my real home and black out the outside world. It didn't matter anymore what other people did at 10 a.m. every day. For me, in my home, 10 a.m. was lunchtime, and I had to accept that. I had to face the fact that in my home, men cried and screamed and moaned every day, all day. In my home, the rats and the roaches were free to come and go as they pleased, while I was not. In my home, people could come in at any time and turn my home upside down, and I had to take it. I had to say yes, sir, and thank you, sir, in order to live. In my home, death was always at my door. It circled my house, watching and waiting and always present. I survived in my home mostly week to week, between visits with Lester, but sometimes it was a minute to minute and hour to hour. In my home, I always knew when my family would die. In the real world, I didn't know that death stalked the ones I loved as well. I couldn't face the reality. I couldn't live in the real world, only in the world of my imagination, in the world that existed in my cell. It's going to take some time, Mama. He has to undo what the other lawyers did. It's like he's starting over, but he promised me he was going to get me out of here. He knows I'm innocent, Mama. He believes me. He's proven it. Of course you're innocent. No child of mine would ever hurt someone. I didn't like how that other attorney used your name. He didn't do right by you. I don't think he believed in you. She was talking about McGregor. It was hard to hear how confused she got at times. Lester told me she was fine, just got tired easily, and it pained her to sit in a car for 7 hours in one day, which I understood. His mom came to visit, but only every so few months or so. They were getting older. We were all getting older. After Brian had come to visit, I received a letter from him. Dear Way, Dear Ray, we have reviewed the trial's transcript of your case and prepared a case summary. We are now organizing the investigation. I am sending you a copy of the trial summary and would like you to review it. I will want to talk to you again about some of the evidence presented against you at trial, and it may be useful for you to refresh your recollection by reviewing the trial summary. I hope you are real. We are starting to make some progress in identifying areas where there may be a basis for moving your case in the right direction. I will be down to see you in the next couple of weeks. Hang in there. Sincerely, Brian Stevenson. Brian did not come see me a few weeks later, and a few weeks after that on a regular basis. We got to know each other, and for parts of the visit, he was my attorney, and for other parts, he was my friend. Sometimes we would go on an hour or more and not talk about my case, not the ballistics or McGregor or Reggie Wright, or anything to do with my innocence. Instead, he would talk about the weather in Alabama, the college football team, food we liked and food we hated. Some days I could see he was tired, and I wondered about the wear and tear on a person when so many lives depend on what you do each day. He carried a big burden, and it wasn't just mine. He spoke of justice and of mercy, and of a system that was so broken it locked up children and mentally ill and the innocent. No one is beyond redemption, would say. No one is undeserving of their life or their own potential to change. He has such compassion for victims and for perpetrators, and intolerance and even anger for those in people who abused the power. Brian Stevenson was not happy with McGregor, and he wasn't happy with Percaps either. I learned he had a team of young lawyers, straight A students from the best law schools in the country working for him and volunteering to fight the good fight. If those straight A students can't get it done, I used to say, you might want to bring in some of those C students. Those middle of class students sometimes know how to work the system. They have some hustle to them. I liked making him laugh. He wore his work and his passion for his work on his face, but sometimes you could see it fall away, and we were just two guys shooting the shit. talking about football and politics and good barbecue and guys we knew who could act the fool. I wasn't condemned and he wasn't a lawyer. We were just Ray and Brian, more alike than different. We both knew my life was in his hands, but that's a burden we had to set aside now and then. It's always there for us to pick up again, but sometimes life is so damn heavy, the only choice is to laugh at the ridiculousness of it all. It was a relief to know he truly believed in my innocence. There was no talk of life without parole. I was innocent and he was going to yell and argue and fight until the state agreed to acknowledge it had made a mistake. I hoped it would be soon. I prayed it would be soon. Hope can be a four-letter word in prison. It can tease a man by staying close but out of reach. I had hope. I had lots of hope, but I was impatient at times. My life was passing by quickly, and every year I grieved for the year I lost. I was grateful to not be executed, but it was like existing in limbo, floating somewhere between life and death and never knowing where I was going to land. The original case summary Brian prepared for me was almost 200 pages long. I liked that he wanted me to review it. I liked that he asked my opinion. I liked finally feeling that I had a voice in my own defense. Dear Ray, we have had a couple of useful days investigating your case. On Sunday, we spoke with Tom Dahl, who was your supervisor on the night of the Quincy robbery. Dahl was very helpful and gave us additional information to support your alibi. We may have also located two of the other manpower employees who are working with you at Bruno's on the night of the crime. We are still looking for others. If you can think of anyone who worked with you on that night, please send me their name. Earlier this month, I met your mother in her home, and we really enjoyed speaking with her. We were able to speak with Donna Baker, Wesley May Williams, and Reverend Calvin Parker from the church. We are tracking down a couple of other folks who would have been at the church that night. I have spoken to Alan Black, who understands that we will be filing an amended petition and formally entering our notice of appearance in your case next week. We will be up in Door in Birmingham for 3 days next week investigating your case. I will give you an update at the time as to where we are. There is still a hearing scheduled for June 25th, but I expect that will be postponed in a couple weeks. I'm now thinking that the best time for a hearing for us will be sometime between August and October of this year. Let me know if you need anything and hang in there. I'll be in touch with you soon. Sincerely, Brian Stevenson. He always told me to hang in there, and those words weren't throwaway words. They were just a way to end a letter or a phone call. We both knew a lot of guys in a row, 11 to be exact, since I was there, who chose not to hang in there. Giving up was always a temptation. Taking your own life sometimes seemed like a better choice than letting the state take it for you. I wasn't going to take my own life, but I always appreciated Brian telling me to hang in there. It got me through another day, another long night. It took comfort in his letters and in his visits. He was working for me, and I prayed for him each and every night. He found two good old boy experts from Texas and another from the FBI. They were the best of the best in the country. They usually only testified for the prosecutors in a case. They were white. They were honest. They had credentials that made Higgins and Yates look like hacks. They were unimpeachable, as Brian liked to say. Ray, I have good news. Brian's voice sounded excited like a little kid on Christmas. What's that? I had gotten word from the guard that Brian wanted to talk to me and I should call him right away. He had an understanding with the guard that he would call them and they would give me a message to call him collect. Sometimes it seemed like the guards wanted to see me leave death row just as much as I did. I got the reports from Emmanuel, Cooper, and Dylan. Their report says that none of the bullets from all three locations match your mother's gun. They also said that the recovered bullets in the test bullets do not match. We also found out that Higgins and Yates had worksheets that the state didn't turn over to your attorney. Their worksheets showed question marks and missing information. They didn't follow proper procedures and they didn't record any land or groove information for any of the 6 bullets. We can prove this. We can prove that the only evidence against you is false. There's no way the bullet matches your mother's gun. I took a deep breath, finally. So what do we do now? And I asked, when can I get out of here? I was ready to pack it up right then and there. Come pick me up, Brian. I'm ready to go home. Well, it's usually for experts to meet and review the tests together with when they have conflicting results. It's a professional courtesy and part of their procedure according to their code of ethics. Emmanuel, Cooper, and Dylan will have to meet with Higgins and Yates. It's a process, Ray, but we're on the right track. I'm going to make sure they understand there's a problem with your case. The ballistics are all they have. Without that, they have no conviction. They said that in your trial. They conceded that fact. Thank you, I said. Brian, I can't tell you enough how grateful I am to you. I start to choke up. We're not home yet, Ray, but we're on our way. I'll be here, I said, and just let me know when it's time to go home. I'll get you, Ray. I promise you. Anthony Ray Hinton, C468. Dear Ray, I wanted to keep you posted on things. I've spoken with the Chief Deputy District Attorney in Jefferson County and provided him with the attached memorandum. He has been appropriate in my conversations with him and knows that we are credible when we say there is a problem with the case. He's meeting with McGregor, and I will be talking with him again this week. We're trying to see if they will join the motion to vacate your conviction and sentence pending before Judge Garrett. If Jefferson County concedes that mistaken ballistic evidence means that you are innocent, we would probably then agree to have the weapons tested by some government agencies, perhaps the ATF or the FBI. Assuming those test results come back the right way, we would then ask for a declaration of innocence. The odds are still not high that they will be agreeable to this, but our early conversations have gone well. You should keep praying about this because if we can work this thing by some consensus, I think you could be released sometime soon. It will be a longer process otherwise. The hearing is scheduled for March 11th through 13th. You are supposed to be moved to the Jefferson County Jail on March 8th. The Attorney General's office is acting sort of crazy, not really dealing with the evidence and just arguing procedural issues. I'll be down there to see you either the week of February 18th or the week of February 25th. I have made contact with an excellent producer at 60 Minutes. We are meeting in New York on Wednesday. If the state does not agree to a non-adversarial resolution, we will probably get them started right around the time of the hearing. Anyway, things are going well for the case. Keep your head up. Something may be soon to break. I'm enclosing some money to help you out. Let me know if you need anything else. I'll see you soon, my friend. Sincerely, Brian Stevenson. I read the letter attached to the memo that Brian had sent with it. The memo began in bold title, The Anthony Ray Hinton Case. Anthony Ray Hinton has been on death row now for 16 years for a crime he did not commit. It went on to detail the newly discovered ballistics findings and my confirmed alibi of being at work at Bruno's. It listed the mistaken previous ballistics evidence, and it recounted how the police had pressured other employees at Food World to say they had saw me that night, and how they had refused and said they didn't see me there. Only Clark Hayes, the grocery clerk, said he saw me there, and he was pressured just like the others. It also brought up my polygraphy, the polygraphy nobody wanted to look at. I held up the money order Brian had sent me with the letter. It was still amazed at how selfless Brian was. Not only did he shake me down, he sent me cards and notes and money for my commissary purchases. The hearing was scheduled for March, and I went to bed thinking about that hearing. They would have to let me go then. I was innocent. The FBI expert had said so. The more Brian uncovered, though, the more it seemed like this wasn't just an innocent mistake. To let me go, Alabama was going to have to admit they purposely sent me to death row. The police had coerced witnesses into saying I was at Food World. The detectives had given my name to Smotherman before he identified me from a photo that had my initials on it. I could feel the rage building again. The white hot hate of rage at how much they had stolen in my life. 16 years. How much more could a man take? How did Reggie sleep at night knowing he had sent me to my death because of two sisters from so long ago? It seemed like it could matter. Every day I had to keep reminding myself that I still mattered. Alabama had made a mistake. I was innocent. We could prove it. I read Brian Stevenson's letter in the memo over and over again, and that night I prayed harder than I had ever prayed before. The truth was shining a light so big that they couldn't ignore it. I prayed for Judge Garrett and for McGregor and for Higgins and Gates. I prayed for perhaps Brian told me that perhaps and McGregor were friends. He also told me that Bob McGregor had a history of racial bias and was twice found guilty of illegal discrimination against black African Americans in jury selections, once in Mobile, another time in Jefferson County. I hadn't known any of this, but I forgave perhaps for not telling me he was friends with McGregor. I was young and stupid and so trusting of a system that was rigged against me from the start. So I also prayed I could forgive myself as well. I prayed for Brian's voice to be the voice of a reason and for fairness and justice. I had never forgot that Brian was a black man like me, and he was up against the same ignorance as I was up against. He was smarter than all of them, though, and God was on his side. That much I knew. My mom had taught me well. God had a plan, and God was always on the side of justice. God could do everything but fail. I had to believe. 16 long years, I was ready for God's injustice. I was ready for my mercy. My freedom was so close I could taste it and feel it. And sometimes at night, I would be back in my mama's yard on a hot day in July, cutting the grass and thinking about going to church. I would look around and realize this had all been a bad dream. I was only dreaming. I had not spent 16 years of my life on death row. It was 1985 when I was 29 years old, and my whole life stretched out in front of me, full of sweet possibility. In my dream, I'd walk into the kitchen and I'd lay my head on my mama's shoulder, and she would pat my back like she always did when I had a bad dream. It wasn't real. I had my whole life in front of me, and my mom was there telling me everything was going to be okay. I was okay. There were no bad men trying to take me away. It was only a nightmare. It wasn't real. How could any of this have been real?